What up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProCharge all right, let's get into it, y'all. Happy opening day of the NFL season. Tonight we got the Chiefs. That's great, man. But who are the Chefs? Against the Detroit Lions. Detroit's a pretty fascinating team this year. The odds-on favorite, the betting favorite to win the NFC North, with obviously no Aaron Rodgers anymore. The Vikings were sort of an upstart last year. Vegas had projected the Vikings to win 9 games. They won 13. So then the Bears, I think Justin Fields is fantastic. I think the, excuse me, real challenge for the Bears is how quickly can their defense come along. So anyway, huge opportunity for Detroit this year. Then obviously to play on opening night against the defending champs. Should be a lot of fun tonight. No, Chris Jones still holding out, and Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee. So the Chiefs could be without their best defensive playmaker in Chris Jones, and without arguably their best offensive weapon in Travis Kelce. So, anyway, let's see. So, excited about opening night. Let's see. Also, you probably saw Jake Haener suspended for PEDs. I mean, I can laugh because I guess it's we joked a little bit on the show yesterday on AFR about Haener because he's such a small guy. Like for Jake Haener to get popped for PEDs is hilarious. But I mean, it's not funny. It's funny because it's not an important player that you desperately need to be impactful, right? I mean, he's basically going to get a red shirt year, for lack of a better phrase, this year as a rookie. But it's just odd to see a small guy like that get popped for PEDs. On the other side of it, in the NFL, we just don't really care very much when guys get popped for PEDs in the NFL. I could think of I talked about Sean Merriman yesterday. Mark Ingram got popped for PEDs. Patrick Peterson got popped for PEDs. DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, the list is long. And we just don't care the way we do in baseball. It's just like it's understood and accepted and a thing that's going to happen in football, and we all just bury our heads in the sand and go along our merry way. But anyway, so Jake Haener, he'll miss 6 weeks. And that's obviously why they moved Taysom Hill back to quarterback, so he's your number 3 quarterback. But you won't have Taysom Hill in the emergency quarterback role, because if you did, then he wouldn't be able to play. The only way an emergency quarterback can play is if the first 2 quarterbacks, so you can dress and not count against your 48 actives on game day. But the only way he can play is if your first 2 quarterbacks are unavailable. So the only interesting thing with respect to how the Saints might do it is if they listed Taysom as the number 2 quarterback and Jameis as the number 3. And Jameis was the emergency quarterback. So in an event that something were to happen to Derek Carr, Jameis couldn't go in. Taysom Hill would have to go in. Then if something happened to Taysom, then Jameis could go in. So we'll see how they do it. I mean, it's very likely they just, obviously with Jake Haener suspended, they just roll with Carr and Jameis is the number 2. You're just carrying basically 2 quarterbacks right now. So in any event, all right, y'all, fire away whatever y'all got. Sorry, we're a few minutes getting started, a few minutes late here. Got to take Drew to the neurologist later this morning, so I don't have to run out of here at 8 o'clock. So I have a little extra time, so should be able to get to everybody's comments today. So we appreciate y'all for being here. So please smash that like button if you're on YouTube. Subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page. Share the post. All right, Bart St. Germain, good morning. Do you feel LSU has a chance to make the playoffs if they go 10-2? Bart, the only way I could see that scenario is, play this hypothetical with me. let's say LSU loses a game to Ole Miss, or let's say they lose to Texas A&M, something like that. But they beat Bama, right? And so they go 10-2 regular season with a win over Bama and still win the West. And then go to Atlanta and beat Georgia. And if they're a 2-loss SEC champion, then yes, I think they'll be in with wins over Bama and Georgia. Yes, that's the scenario that would have unfolded last year, right? If LSU had beaten A&M, they would have been 10-2, going to Atlanta to play Georgia, and had they beaten Georgia, they would have been in. So I just don't see a world where the SEC champion is not in the playoff. So, so yes, I do think that's a possibility. Like that mathematically would work. Now, getting there, Bart, to where, you know, if you lose to Ole Miss, say, or A&M, but you beat Bama and you're 7-1 in the league, and you go to Atlanta and you beat Georgia, it's a heavy climb, man. It's a steep climb. But is it mathematically possible? Yeah, because it almost happened last year. Like the scenario was there last year. Kelly Gross, good morning. But the key is obviously going to Atlanta and beating Georgia in the SEC championship. Brant Roban, good morning. Let's see. If something clearly isn't working during a game, like Perkins' wrong position, Deuce covering a tall wide receiver, why do coaches keep trying it and handicap the whole game? So here's the thing I'll tell you, Brant. And this was kind of along the same lines of the conversation we were having the other day about like the route concept thing. That was funny. Man, the coaches know so much more than you and me. And it's one of the reasons why I've often said there's no harm in allowing media to go to practice, because we don't really know what we're looking at anyway. Like I can go look at who's running with the ones and the twos, and if somebody gets hurt, or I could chart completed passes and stuff. But when you don't know the play call, then you don't really know what they're trying to accomplish. Like, for example, like you mentioned, Deuce Chestnut covering tall receivers. Well, I mean, their two primary wide receivers were 6'4" and 6'6" or 6'7". So if Deuce Chestnut's in the game, no matter what coverage you're running or how you try to shade or rotate or give help, he's going to be going against a tall receiver. So what are your options? Put in a different player? Guess you could. But you go through you go through a month of fall camp, and you feel like you have a pretty good idea on your team of who can play, who's ready, and who can't. And Deuce Chestnut played Florida State. He played against, when he was at Syracuse, played against Florida State a couple times. If your next guy up is Ashton Stamps, that's his first ever career game. You can put a true freshman on the field against a guy that's going to be a first-round draft pick. Then again, you also don't know what you don't know what the defensive call was. Did somebody bust a coverage? Was someone supposed to give help and they didn't? Like that's the kind of stuff that you never really know. Listen, I want to be clear, y'all. I'm not all about coaching infallibility. I'm not telling you coaches are never wrong or couldn't do anything better. Or what I am saying is, generally, when you have a scenario unfold like what happened, you generally not always, the plan is a good one. You have really smart coaches that spend all week game planning for that specific opponent. These really bright guys that have been around football for a long time and have had a lot of success. When the plan doesn't work, sometimes the other team did a really good job out scheming you. Like flip it, look at the first play of the game. The first play of the game that LSU ran, that wheel route, was brilliant. Brian Kelly kind of did the film breakdown with Gordy where he talked about, We had the two receivers on the left side. We cleared them out to the right to bring the corners out, and so that way it was a linebacker or a safety that had to pick up Bradford. The safety, we made him choose by having Taylor on the opposite side, so the safety came into the box. So everything defensively was overloaded to the offensive right, and we sent Bradford to the left, and the linebacker got caught up in the wash, and Bradford was 55 yards down the field. Well, it's a beautiful play design. It doesn't mean Florida State's coaches stink. It means that, hat tip LSU's coaches, they designed a beautiful play, and the guys executed it. But sometimes you tip your cap to the other guys because they do a good job too. Now, what was the other part of that question? Why to keep, if something's not working, why do you handicap the women? I don't know what changes defensively they might have made, and they're certainly not going to disclose what they did. I had a few conversations off the record where I think there weren't many changes in the second half, which was surprising. But then again, you never really know that until you go back and watch film and see. But anyway, Brian Jones, if I'm being honest, still not over the loss to FSU. It took me back to the Les Miles days, not trying to over-exaggerate. Brian, why would that take you back to the Les Miles days, man? Les won a lot of games, and the only opener Les ever lost was the 2016 opener at Lambeau. He won every other opener he played. And you don't have to be over the loss, by the way. You spend 8 months psyching yourself up, and then you feel really good after the first half, but you miss some opportunities, and you come out and you're still in a one-score game at the end of the third quarter, and the first play of the fourth quarter is an interception, things snowballs on you. That sucks. Brian Broom, Jim Arsenault, what's going on? Bubba Smith, JJ Tyler, put the... I think Drew's back. Hang on one second, y'all. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, thanks, y'all. Sorry about that. All right, let's get to YouTube here. Barry Jocelyn, good morning. Brad David, why do you think Brian Kelly is so disliked nationally? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it depends. Are you talking about fans or media? I know my perception of Brian Kelly before he became the LSU coach was what a lot of you thought, kind of this angry, yelling, red-faced, Northeastern, brash, abrasive guy. And my experience with him has been the complete opposite of that. I think he's warm and affable and easy to work with, and I appreciate his attempt at levity. He's honest and transparent. I respect that tremendously. Maybe that's changed, but I didn't know him when he was the coach at Notre Dame. So in any event, I'm sure a lot of people have the same impression that I did, and many of you did. Larry Garner, Brian Wynn, Brian Pinton, good morning from Denver. Okay. All right, Barry. Leon Williams, Donovan Peterson, Ray Langlois, good morning. Brett DeGrow, Phil Stevens, good morning. Big boy game day. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for it. NFL season getting started tonight, so a week one of the National Football League. The NFL always delivers, man. Hopefully it's a good one tonight. Colton Mack, let's see, Matt, hope you really think Harris was a third string guy? Jordy saying that's not the case. Cream will rise to the top. Can't wait to see who's right. So, Colton, I didn't hear Jordy's show. I don't know what his opinion is. What I can tell you, what I can tell you is Denver Harris is a really good athlete, and my understanding, again, this is conversations I've had about Denver Harris. My understanding is he's a really good athlete who spent most of his time playing man coverage and has really struggled to pick up zone concepts, and you can't play at this level if all you can do is cover man. So hopefully he continues to develop and get better and all that sort of stuff. And that's that. So, and I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe, yeah, so this is kind of a weird connection, but if you remember former LSU basketball player Tack Minor, he is Denver Harris's stepdad, as I understand it. Well, Jordy was on the LSU basketball staff when Tack Minor was playing at LSU. Jordy was on Brady's staff as a video guy and stuff like that. So Jordy's got a relationship with Tack Minor, so I have no doubt that he's hearing that side of the story. So, and I don't know if Jordy's disclosed that, so I'm not trying to like Jordy and I are good, so that's not like I mean, I don't know if he's disclosed that on his show, but I think everybody knows that by now. That's all public info. So I guess my point is, I'm sure if he's talking to Tack, I'm sure that's what he's hearing. I'm not talking to Tack. So anyway, Alex DeVilliers, good morning. Joey B19, good morning. Brad David, do you still drink those 5-hour energies before your show every day? I have them in my desk. And my father-in-law, who buys everything at Sam's, goes and he gets the big, like 24 packs for me, and I put them in my desk, and I literally take a 5-hour energy every day before my show. I think it helps me focus tremendously. Joey Vincent, good morning. Josh Higginbotham, I'll be in the Dome for the Saints opener. Okay. Irfan Sayad, what's up? Barry down in Florida. I hate living in Seminole country. Irfan Sayad, happy Shield Day. Shield Day. What is Shield Day? I would assume that has something to do with law enforcement. Forgive me for my ignorance. I'm not familiar, Irfan, but yeah, let me know. Drop a comment. Thanks, man. Salute to all of our law enforcement. Thank you for all you do for keeping us safe. Let's see, Brett DeGrow got the Saints 10-7 winning the division. I like that pick, Brett. I do. I think the schedule sets up for it. I think 10-7 could definitely win this division. The one thing that could potentially go the other way is if Carolina or Atlanta get a performance from their quarterback that we're just not anticipating. But otherwise, I like that pick a lot, Brett. I mean, that's where I land too. I land with the Saints at 10-7 and win the division. Tiger Diver, Colton Mack, Cajun Country, Jake Hayner, Roids, dude needs a refund. Weston Weaver. So in fairness, it's so funny too, because I did that bit on the show yesterday where I was like, when I think of some of y'all probably see if you're not following us on TikTok or Shorts or YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or whatever, but we clipped something from the show where I was like, man, when I think of PEDs in the NFL, I think of Sean Merriman, who looked like a real life action figure. Like Jake Hayner looks like the kicker, Blake Groupie. Anyway, And so most of the comments, like 80, 90% of the comments are all like laughing and everything. They get that it's a joke. Then there's like the one guy that's like, there's more PEDs than just steroids. It's only there's hundreds of kinds. Like, I know. I get it. There's masking agents, there's blood doping, there's all different types of PEDs. I know. It's a joke. Like, the 180-pound quarterback got popped for PEDs. It's a joke. All right, just learn to laugh a little bit. It's just levity. So yes, thank you. Thank you, Cajun Country, for getting it. Weston Weaver, Spurge, Wendell Norman, Eric Wilderrider, good morning. Noticed this while I was at the game Sunday. Felt like a ton of RB protection on passing downs. Do you think that was a result of no Emery or Diggs? No, I think, and Eric, I didn't chart protections or anything like that, but I tend to agree with you. And I actually, Matt Flynn was talking about this yesterday. I thought it was a very good point. No, it wasn't Matt Flynn. It was T-Bob. T-Bob was saying this, and T-Bob would know, right? NFL Shield. Got it. Thank you, Richie. Anyway, I think Josh Williams is your best pass protector, number one. I think they were trying to protect against a really good Florida State rush to give Jaden Daniels time. But the interesting thing that I think T-Bob and Flynn were talking about yesterday was how Jaden seems more comfortable with a five-man protection, meaning, if you're keeping a back in, then you're leaving more, even if they're not blitzing, you're leaving more people in the box. So then there's just people standing around watching Jaden, So it's kind of better whenever it's five-man protection and everybody else is going to run routes. It spreads the field, gives him more lanes. It was interesting. So I thought it was a really good tape. Jason H., Jonathan Martin, what's going on? Perkins for Heisman. Matt, so Taysom can't play in his utility role with the roster designation. Only if they list him as the emergency QB. So what I mean by that is, if he's the emergency quarterback, to take advantage of that rule, you can dress but not count against your 48 actives on game day. Now, Taysom is obviously going to be active on game day and going to play, so he's not. Basically, short way of saying it, the Saints won't use an emergency quarterback designation. They could have done that for Haener, but they're just not going to use an emergency quarterback designation because Taysom's going to play. Damon Gilmore. And so then if you get into a game in a situation where if something happened to Carr, Jameis would play, and then if something happened to Jameis, Taysom would go be your emergency quarterback. But the point of the third quarterback, emergency quarterback, is, you have a 53-man roster, but only 48 are active on game day. They're basically saying, okay, well, you can dress your 48 and an extra quarterback that won't count against the 48, but the only way this guy plays is if your first two quarterbacks are unavailable. So you couldn't, and the Saints obviously wouldn't leave Taysom in that emergency spot because they want to use him in the offense. So essentially the Saints just won't have an emergency quarterback. Trivia Carter, what's going on? Bailey C., you said the easy thing is to say LSU's going 10-2. We should beg God for 10-2 right now. No, Bailey C., you're missing the point. No, you're missing the point. It was about the question that the person asked at the beginning of the show, which was, could LSU at 10-2 make the playoff? The 10-2 part, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that it's easy to go 10-2. What I'm saying is getting to 10-2 is the easier part of the equation, just to say 10-2, but how you get there, meaning you'd have to beat Bama and then you'd have to beat Georgia in the SEC championship, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying for this team getting to 10-2 is going to be easy, but I'll also tell you this, Bailey C. Last year after LSU lost to Florida State, nobody thinking LSU was going to beat Bama and be in a situation where they were going into a game against a 4-win Texas A&M team with a chance to go 10-2. It never feels like it in the immediate aftermath of a loss, but the thing that doing this for as long as I have now teaches you is it's a long season and teams are allowed to improve. You can get better as the year goes along. And I'm still going to maintain that after seeing that Florida State team on Saturday, I still believe that's the best team you're going to face all year. I think that Florida State team is better on both lines of scrimmage than Alabama. That quarterback is better than Jalen Milrose. They certainly have better receivers. I would probably give a lean to Alabama's linebacker and secondary, but that was a really good team that beat you on Saturday, and you were better than them for a half. Like you were the better team in the first half. You put up 300 yards offense. You just got 2 possessions inside the 10 where you came away with no points. I mean, how different is that game if you score? You got to score in the red zone, man. Like it's an old football axiom, but like you got to convert in the red zone. You know, protect the football, no turnovers, convert in the red zone. I mean, y'all know, but they, you know, it's cliche, but they exist for a reason. Because they're true. Hunter Broadhead, Matt, good morning. Interested to see the Saints go against Henry for the first time. Yeah, that's right. When they played the Titans a few years ago, Derrick Henry was unavailable. Jackson Carney, my question with Nuss is, does he give you something from the perspective of getting in guys' faces more and holding them accountable when we drop the ball in 3rd and 4th down, the competitive edge? No. Dax Jeter, morning, Matt. Do you think that the offense looked so good during camp because our DBs are so bad? Brian Kelly said Harris was available when asked yesterday. Well, yeah, that's because people were wondering why he didn't play. And so Brian Kelly said, no, he's available. But basically telling you he's not playing because he's not one of our best guys right now. And, I mean, yeah, Dax, I mean, that was... I don't know that I'm going to say the reason that LSU's receivers look good because the DBs are bad. The receivers were better than the DBs, though. But I think LSU's receivers are good. I mean, Malik Neighbors is a projected first-round pick. Mel Kiper had him as the 17th best overall prospect in the draft for this coming year. Brian Thomas is a really good player. He's a big physical receiver who can really run. Kyron Lacey looked awesome on the 33-yard catch and run where he kept his heel up on the sideline. Like, you just got to catch the ball. I mean, catch the ball. Devin Johnson, good morning, Matt. Do you think Brian Kelly will be able to keep the locker room together? Yeah. Yes. Let's see. Robert Collins, morning, Matt. Week 1 loss stings, but I think Brian Kelly is too good of a coach not to make corrections and make them better. It was week 1. Yeah, man, look, you'll find out a lot about a team like whenever you face adversity, right? That's true not only about in sports, but just in life. Sometimes it's funny how sometimes sports does mirror life, right? I mean, live life long enough and life will punch you in the teeth, and how you respond to that is often an indicator of who you are as a person. So, you know, last year LSU, when they lost to Tennessee, embarrassing home loss, and they had to go on the road to Florida, and they bounced back beautifully, and they put 45 points on Florida. They weren't rattled by it. They went on the road to a really tough place to play and hung half 100 on them. So, yeah, I mean, let's go see. You know, you lost this game. Now you get an opportunity to play Grambling, to get right, to have things work, to get some new guys on the field, get them some playing time. You know, then you go on the road to Starkville. So, see how it goes. Bailey C. Not in favor of the week 0 conversation. Paying a coach $10 million to not be physical in an opener. Bailey C. That's fine. You can have that You can have that opinion. That's foolish pride. It's like people are like, well, to be the best, you got to beat the best. Actually, I just want an opportunity. Like, do we say that about teams that make the playoff out of the Pac-12 or the ACC? Like, Jesus Christ, hang on. Do we say that about like Cinderella teams that make the NCAA tournament and go to the Final Four? You get to play in a weak mid-major conference all year, rack up a gaudy record, and then get into a tournament? No. Like, do we go, well, they didn't play anybody in the regular season? No. You just marvel at what they did in the postseason. So I very much am disinterested. Let's see. Charlie Bacchus, what's going on? Stewart, what's going on? Mike and them. Hey, Scone. Heard you ask Brian Kelly a question at the last presser. Brian Kelly was out of breath through the whole thing and sipping water like he had cotton mouth. Did it feel odd in the room or just on video? I didn't notice anything different. He always has a bottle of water. I mean, he always, will stop and sip water during the press conference. Uh, Carter Harris, good morning. Do you think Michael Thomas will have a big year this year? I hope so, Carter. I mean, if he stays healthy, I think he will. Richie B. Let's see, Tim Gotro, Dalton Barnett, Maddie, good morning. Been a while since I've caught a live morning Scone. Appreciate you for being here, dude, as always. Here, fun at the NFL show. Yeah, all good. Alex B, would Keon Coleman even make the LSU roster? Yeah, I think he'd be okay. The funny thing, so for those that don't know that reference, so Florida State fans on Twitter grabbed a hold of a 10-second clip from AFR on Friday where I mentioned that Keon Coleman wouldn't be one of the top 2 receivers at LSU. And in a vacuum and without context, obviously that's very stupid. The point, because internet does what internet does, the point of the whole conversation was why Keon Coleman didn't come to LSU. And coming out of high school, LSU didn't recruit Keon Coleman because they had Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, Deion Smith, who was the number 1 player in Louisiana. There was another player as well that this guy was now at Florida State. Blah. Anyway, and then obviously they got Jack Besh in the class late also. So my point was, like, Keon Coleman didn't come to LSU because when he was coming out of high school, there were more highly rated guys in the state that LSU recruited. And then coming out of the transfer portal, you look at LSU and you saw Malik Neighbors coming back and Brian Thomas coming back and Chris Hilton and Kyron Lace, and they brought in Aaron Anderson, which we're all very high on, yours truly included. Like, it was just a crowded receiver room was the point. Like, so if you're Coleman, he went to a place where he knew he could step right in. That was the point. So, but coming out of Saturday or Sunday night, how could you not look at that guy and realize that, I've said this a million times, that the best player on the field was wearing number 4 in red. So, anyway, so that's the joke that Alex B is making, because Florida State fans have been running through that soundbite without context. But I don't care. It's like, what are you gonna do? Fight every Florida State fan on the internet? Antron Hemingway, good morning. Yeah, Saints play at noon on Sunday, man, against Titans. Dalton Barnett, not asking for a lot these days, but LSU football going 1-0 in August is at the top of the list. They haven't played in August, though. September games, man. H-Town Creole, what's going on? How much will LSU benefit from switching Arkansas and Florida on the schedule? Arkansas can't be excited about it, LOL. Yeah, so I definitely think, well, it's not a straight swap because LSU didn't play Florida typically in September. Florida was typically an October game. It's going to be odd playing Florida in November, and it's the week after you go to Bama. At least that is a home game. But I definitely agree on the Arkansas game, right? So the emotion of the Arkansas game definitely swings into LSU's favor. When it was the Friday after Thanksgiving, there were it was always a letdown spot for LSU, and then when they moved it to the week after Bama, it was a letdown spot for LSU. So Arkansas was always emotionally high for that game. You move it to September, and the emotion of the game definitely swings in LSU's favor. So we'll see if they can take advantage of it. Deborah Cowart, good morning from Houston. Quick trip to see my third Tigers fan grandson. Awesome. Congrats, Deborah. Congrats to you and your family. That's great news. Alex, Keon didn't come to LSU because he didn't want to stay in state. He made that exception a clear note. So, Alex, again, we talked about this on the show, and it's a kind of believe what you want to believe type thing. So, Keon Coleman we shared his tweet where he said that he didn't want to stay in state. So, Ross Dellinger has a piece up at Yahoo. If you want to go read it, it's there. I'll grab it and link it. So, after the game, Ross, like, in the bowels of Camping World Stadium, caught up with Keon Coleman's family, his mother, his brother, and hang on, I'm looking for it. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, I'm looking for it. Anyway, Keon Coleman's, not that it matters, but Keon Coleman's family, essentially, they said LSU didn't recruit him. It meant more because it was LSU. Like, take your enemies and make them your footstool. She quoted the Bible. There's all kind of stuff like that. I'm looking for it. So here it is. I'll link it for you. So Keon Coleman tweeted that all good, nothing against LSU. They tried to get me to go there. I didn't want to go there. That was his tweet. Well, his family is basically singing a different tune. Let's see. It was good, his mother, Raven Savoy, said, especially against LSU. God is blessing him. God says, make your enemies your footstool. He did it. Let's see. Best of all, it came against, well, quote, he was ready and determined, said older brother Kalen, competing against the home team in front of the whole world against LSU. Shit. He goes on to say that he went to, here you go. Coleman is from Opelousas. Despite heroics on the court and on the field, the Tigers didn't offer him a scholarship. There are reasons for it. For one, Coleman wanted to play basketball as well as football, a more difficult juggle in Baton Rouge. The Tigers signed other receivers within the state that year, those seen as more advanced. Even Livingston acknowledged Coleman was a bit raw, but knew he'd blossom into a star. Tried to tell anyone who would listen in Baton Rouge they didn't. Quote, he felt slighted. This is his coach. He felt slighted. He's got a boulder on his shoulders. I think he wanted to play against LSU. I knew from the time he signed he was looking forward to this game. So his mom, his brother, and his coach all said that he didn't get offered by LSU. So, I can certainly respect Keon Coleman, like, publicly trying to downplay and put it out there. But that is a thing, because he was a good basketball player as well. And my understanding is when he went to Michigan State, Tom Izzo told him he could do both, that he could play both football and basketball. Now, basketball thing obviously didn't stick, but that was part of it. So. Bro, like, Alex, I don't know why you're, like, being so combative on this. They didn't offer him. Like, I don't, like, you're getting into a semantics battle. You unequivocally said they didn't recruit him. Not offering a basketball and football scholarship is completely different. They didn't offer him. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, they didn't offer him a scholarship. So if you're going to say they didn't recruit him, well, shit, man, shoot. And kids come to camp. You know good players in your state. You're in touch with them. You keep it. Like, the recruiting process is a years-long process. Like, you're getting caught up into a semantics argument. Like, there's his coach, his mom, his brother all telling you the same thing. That they didn't offer him. Like, bro, like, you're doing this whole shoot the messenger thing. It ain't that big a deal. They didn't offer the kid a scholarship. For whatever reason it was, he didn't have the opportunity to come here. Okay. Does Delhi have the best job in all of football? in all college sports. He was at TCU, Colorado, then LSU, Florida State in one weekend. Sometimes it seems like that. I was talking to Ross not long ago, and he was telling me how much he's on the road. And so that's the part of it that's tricky, right? Like, the thing that sometimes as a fan you might lose sight of is that it's still work. Like, yes, you get to go to work and you're at a stadium and it's a football game and it's all you get to see all this. And it's very cool. Don't misunderstand. I'm not downplaying that at all. It's very cool. But you're not cheering, you're not tailgating, you're not having beers, you're not, it's not a party, it's work. Like, you're there credentialed, you're in dress clothes, you're getting quotes, you're up against the deadline. Yeah, it's different. I mean, is it a great way to make a living? Yes. But you travel a lot, you're away from home a lot, game days are work days. So it's kind of the thing that I've often said is, like, when you do sports media, you do forfeit your fandom a little bit. You kind of have to. So you don't get to just be a fan. So it's one of the cool things about doing Whiskey and Wine is, like, the whole concept of that show is you just get to be emotional, So anyway. All right, let's see, a couple more. Jump back to Facebook. Y'all smash that like button if you would. Subscribe up to the channel. JJ Tyler, where am I? Ooh, sorry, y'all. Let's see, Rick Manuel. I'm with you. We need a week 0 warm-up game for the big game. Hey, look, I mean, here's the thing. I've got a 4-year sample size right now saying across 2 different coaching staffs that says you could benefit from having a week 0 game. So, like, and I used to be in the camp of, man, just be ready to play, go win it, because LSU did that for a long time. 4 straight years, like, the old adage is biggest improvement week 1 to week 2. So yeah, play a week 0 game, iron out some kinks, and go play week 1. Brian Jones, has your record prediction changed? No, Brian. I mean, I said 11-1. I never said which game they'd lose. I said they certainly could have lost to Florida State. I didn't see them lose by 3 touchdowns to Florida State. But shoot, man, I made the prediction. Everybody knows what I said, so let it play out, see how it goes. Strikes and gutters, man. Brian Jones, when I say took me back to the Les Miles days where he was notorious for not putting his best players on the field, I disagree with that, man. I don't know how you could say that he didn't put his best players on the field. That Les didn't put his best. You could disagree with how he used the players, or what they would do offensively. But to say they didn't put the best players on the field, I categorically disagree with that. Brant Roban, hope this loss brings things into perspective for LSU. Hope it motivates them and not make them doubt. Get right this weekend. Most of all, play more aggressive than the opponent going forward. Blake DeVilliers, which take on the offensive line. Left side of the offensive line was really good. Will Campbell drew Jared Verse, and Jared Verse made 1 play. One of the conversations I had with the talent evaluator after the game, who did watch the game film, said the left side of LSU's offensive line was awesome. The right side was decidedly not. So that was Frazier and Emory Jones on the 4th and goal from the 1. If you go back and watch that play, they failed to pick up a twist, and that is what really killed that play, because even when the blitzing linebacker came, Josh Williams tried to submarine him. The guy got over Josh Williams. Jaden, in that instance, could have rolled right, and had he bailed to the right, you had Kyron Lacey at the goal line, and so the defensive back would have had to make a decision. Do I break on Jaden and leave the receiver, or do I stay guarding the receiver and let Jaden run? But because the right side of LSU's offensive line did pick up the twist and the pressure came there as well, Jaden had nowhere to go, and so he got sacked. I mean, he still should have thrown the ball. Just the ball. don't lose 10 yards. You just throw it through the back of the end zone. They get the ball to 1. Instead, they get the ball to 14. You gave them breathing room. So, but anyway, I thought the left side of the line was good. The right side of the line was not. So I'm interested to see Lance Hurd this weekend in some capacity. I don't know that would have been the situation to put him in, but I mean that would have been an impossible situation. But I'm excited to see him move forward. Lowell Cormier, Kim Mulkey signed an extension with LSU. My chances of marrying her is getting better. Okay, Lowell, good luck, bud. Brant Roban, my amazing wife, Jamie, was gracious enough to watch the girls. Let me go to Nashville for the weekend for a guy's golf trip, 4 rounds in 3 days. That's awesome, Brant. Enjoy, man. And shout out to Jamie. She sounds awesome. Michael Cook, what's up, Gary Atchison? Good morning. Going to the game this weekend? Okay. Vernell Thomas, the freaking NFL season starts tonight. Good morning. Fired up, man. Jordan Grace, that whole stadium is a bowel. Been to Orlando 3 times and watched us lose 3 times. Done with that trip. The last time I went to Orlando, well, you picked the wrong ones because they won the bowl game there last year and they won the Citrus Bowl the year against Lamar Jackson, right? But the last time I went to Orlando was the 2004 Citrus Bowl. I guess it would have been New Year's Day '05. Saban's last game when LSU lost to Iowa on the Hail Mary. That was the most miserable road trip ever. From getting a speeding ticket on the way, to having car trouble, to going on one of those Splash Mountain, whatever water rides in Disney, and my shorts getting wet and ended up chafing and having like awful like chafe marks the rest of the trip, to trying to find a place on New Year's Eve to ring in New Year's and having to pull into like a Shell station and buying beers at the gas station to toast at midnight, trying to find the countdown on the radio and found it like on a Spanish language channel, to having to get up at 10 a.m. for an early game and then watching LSU lose the manner in which they did on Hail Mary. That trip sucked. Like I will never go back to that trip ever again. Or let me not say never. But I have avoided the Orlando trip many times since, including the '09 game against Penn State, the 16 game against Louisville, the bowl game last year, the game to open the season this year. Anyway, Quentin Breakbill, good morning. Brian Jones said, "Whatever happened to David from Thibodeau, who used to come on your show? You could barely get a word in." I'm sure you mean Dwayne from Thibodeau. And Brian, I'm not sure if you are just poking the bear. I think you might be poking the bear. Are you poking the bear? Because I have for many years now teed off on Dwayne from Thibodeau. Because we had, in the 2018 season, we had a $500 bet. He said LSU would win 10 games. I said they wouldn't. He came on every week and did exactly what you said. And then when he lost the bet, he bailed and never called again. And I have called him out repeatedly for 5 years now, and he is a total coward. And if I ever see him, I will actually punch him in the face and steal my money and take my money that he owes me. Well, hi. You want to come say hi? Well, we're going to get dressed and we're going to go see Dr. Holman. Come see Daddy. Come say hi to Dad's show. Come see. Come see.
Dr. Holman.
After Dr. Holman, you're going to go to New St. Lillian. What do you think? Huh? Can you say good morning?
Good morning.
Say hi, Dad, show.
Hi, Dad.
I love you so much. I love you so much. You're my favorite. What? 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 Huh? What do you see? Who do you see?
Drew.
Drew, and who else?
Dad.
Daddy. You got to sleep in today. Not much, but you got to sleep in a little bit. We're gonna get dressed. We're gonna go see Dr. Holman in a little while. Mommy and Daddy and Drew. What makes that sound? What makes that sound? What makes that sound? A blower. He's doing a backpack blower. He loves backpack blowers. Like when the yard crew has the backpack blowers. Well, y'all smash that like button if you would. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. As always, brought to you by Brock, the Baton Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Let's see. Hope y'all having a good day. Team Drew, the star of the show. Yeah, you usually don't get to see him on weekday mornings because usually I shut this down at 8 o'clock. I go wake him up and we get out of the house to go bring him to school. We got to go to the neurologist this morning, so we got a 9:40 a.m. appointment. So we get him dressed. We'll head that way in a little bit. Michael Richard, good morning, Matt. Can't wait for the Saints on Sunday. If we get past the Titans, possibly have a chance to go 5-0 after the first 5. Hate to jump ahead, very possible. Michael Richard from the best bank of New Orleans. Who dat? I think if the Saints, it's hard to win in the NFL, you know that, breaking news. But I think if the Saints can get through the first 5 at 3-2, I think that would be a really good start. Because now you get the Titans at home. You got to go to Carolina, but remember that'll be Bryce Young's second ever game. His first home game, but his second ever game. Then you go to Green Bay, which is never an easy place to play, obviously. But again, that's Jordan Love, who will be a green quarterback, and the Packers really didn't give him any offensive help. I mean, they don't have weapons to support him. You're home against Tampa, who I think is awful and is going to be tanking. And then you're at New England, which is always interesting because New England's a tough place to play, and it's Bill Belichick and everything. But you know, their quarterback situation is interesting. They just signed Zeke. We'll see if he has any tread left on the tires. But it's still a road game in the league, and still Belichick, and it's a team against which the Saints haven't had great success over the years. So, you know, 3 of your first 5 are on the road. But I think the Panthers and the Packers, the road games against Panthers, Packers feel really winnable. But it's still hard to win on the road in the NFL. So I tend to agree. You know, get your games at home. You got this game against Tennessee at home on Sunday. You're a 3-point favorite. Go win that one. I would say maybe split Panthers and Packers. Love to win the Panthers game. Obviously, it's a divisional game. You beat the Bucs at home. And then even if you lose at New England, you're 3-2 through your first 5. You've got a couple division wins. You go to the Texans, who I think are going to be really bad this year. And they got a short week to play Jacksonville at home on a Thursday night. And then you get a little bit of a long week before you got to go to Indy to play the Colts. So it sets up nicely. But as nice as you could hope. Anthony Guglieluzza, good morning. Hope this team eventually gets better. Definitely don't feel optimistic going forward, especially all the hoopla about Kelly. Anthony, I'm stunned that you don't feel optimistic. Appreciate you for being here, man. You know I'm just teasing. Let's see. Brian Jones, does Logan Diggs play this weekend? I'll ask Brian, Kelly. Actually, I'm probably not going to get a chance to ask him because his media availability on Thursday is usually around 5:30, and I'm still on the air. But we'll get somebody to ask him that question today. So I would love to see Logan Diggs. I think he is their most talented back. Size, speed, power, versatility, catch the ball, blocking, all that. I think he's the best combination of all those things. So I'd love to see him. You know, that's the reason we got him, man. So, Stoned Musa, what's up? I appreciate y'all being sweet about Drew. Stone Musa said, good morning, Matt. Hope the Saints don't stomp on my heart. Same. Especially after this past Sunday, we need the good vibes to flow. Greg Carter said, good morning, Matt. Best bets for the weekend to hit big. Greg, I'm gonna tell you, listen to Jimmy and Charlie, because they always do their cappers recap. Where they get their best bets from all these professional handicappers, and they put them together. They do that on Thursday or on Fridays. Their Friday show, they do it for college football, and then on Football Sunday, Jimmy does his Cappers recap with all the best bets for the NFL games. So they had an incredible run last year. I mean, they hit it something like 70% last year. Might have been north of 70%. It was crazy. Their NFL picks last year. So that's what I would recommend you do. Like if you're actually, I mean, I give you opinions on things, but I'm gonna tell you, if you want like actual advice from professional gamblers giving you their best bets for the week, like what I always do is I'll listen to all those handicappers on Jimmy's show, and if there's ever a consensus play, like if 3-4 professional handicappers are all giving out the same play, I'm like, okay, I'm playing that. So anyway, lock of the week. Okay, y'all, I think we're just about done. I'm gonna go get ready and get Drew ready and head on out. So, all right, y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. And LSU Daily is already live. So on your favorite podcast app, please just search LSU Daily and subscribe. Okay, got a new sponsor for LSU Daily, Tecovas, the boot store, Tecovas. They opened up in Perkins Row. So y'all check them out. Tell them Matt sent you in if you're looking for new boots. LSU Daily and the AFR3. Huge AFR day. We got Ryan Clark, got Fantasy Blitz. We got Michael Lombardi, former NFL GM Michael Lombardi. We got Hugh Jackson, former NFL head coach Hugh Jackson, who's now the head coach of Grambling State. We got Mike Triplett on the show today. So we got a ton today, man. It's going to be a great show. Looking forward to it. So, all right. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all have an awesome day.